Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is the series The Truth Behind the Lie, written by Shika, narrated by Dawn myself. Hello! And this is for Shika's Wednesday, so I hope you're enjoying it so far. This is part 18. If you are, go and send Shika loads of love. All her information is down below. Send me loads of love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of this part and what will happen in the next one, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on future parts and other series and other one-shots that are happening at the moment. And I hope you enjoy. Part 18. A quart of chocolate ice cream, you've got mail, and a failed attempt to paint Kagami's nails later, Marinette was feeling a little better. Or as better as I can be while still fake dating the boy of my dreams, she thought wistfully, closing the trapdoor behind her friend when she left for her date. She was glad Luca and Kagami seemed to like each other and were getting along so well, but it still hurt to know that the boy she had in a corner wasn't really hers, even if she was his completely.
"Are you okay, Marinette?"
Tiki murmured, flying out of her little nest in the loft.
"Did having someone to talk it out help?"
"Yeah," she replied with a sniff. "I'm just glad Kagami and I are friends. She understands what loving Adrien is like, but doesn't begrudge my feelings. She's great." Her little friend flew up and cuddled her cheek.
"You need to talk to Adrien, Marinette. Whether he returns your feelings or not, at least you'll know where you stand. It's just the uncertainty getting to you. Get past that and things will work out. You'll find a way."
"But not with him, Tiki. He has always been my weakness. I tried to tell him. I finally got the words out and he thinks I'm his best friend. And that kiss? Oh, he's ruined me. I'll never be able to kiss anybody like that again, because Adrien will be all I think about." And there was a thump on the roof and gently tapping at the skylight. Tiki disappeared as Marinette climbed up the ladder to let Cat in. "Hey, kitty," she sniffled, trying her best to give him a smile, knowing he could tell if it was fake. She felt like a fake and a failure. "Princess, I was just popping by to..." "Marinette, what's wrong?" Nothing, she exclaimed, waving a hand in a negative as the tears welled up again. "It's just been a long day and I could really use a hug if it isn't too much trouble." He blinked at her with worried eyes, then lowered himself down through the skylight and onto the bed next to her. Gathering her into his arms, he whispered, "You're never any trouble, Marinette." Cat's kind, sincere words and the comfort and the safety of his arms around her opened the floodgates once more. Wrapping herself around his neck, she wept into his shoulder. All the pain, frustration, loneliness, and heartache crashing against the insides like a storm tossed the waves. "Shh, it's okay, princess," he soothed, holding her close and running his hand up and down her back. "Kitty's here. I'll stay as long as you need me." You shouldn't have to," she sobbed, burying her face into the crook of his neck. "I'm just such a mess right now. I should be better than this." "What happened, Marinette? Was it Kagami? Did she say something that hurt you?" She shook her head against his shoulder. "No, she's a good friend, and I had a fight with Alya today, and Adrien wasn't there because he had a photo shoot with Lila, and I just feel like I'm so weak and messed up. Adrien has been doing everything he can to make this work. He is working so hard for me, even with everything else he has going on, and today..." She couldn't go on. The memories of the kiss was overwhelming her, and she couldn't afford to let it carry her away. She had to control herself, Marinette clung to her partner's neck in an effort to ground herself, taking deep breaths to still her trembling. Did Adrien hurt you somehow, princess? Kat asked softly. No, he would never hurt me on purpose. Kat gently pulled her off his shoulder and looked her in the eye. He was worried. Did you feel hurt? Intent isn't the same as the result. She swallowed hard and turned away. No matter how she felt, she didn't want Kat to argue with Adrien. Both boys needed their friendship, and she wouldn't be the cause of conflict any more than she could help. Marinette, it's more about me and what I'm going through than Adrien, she murmured, weighing her words carefully. Does that make sense? He drew her back into his embrace. I'm glad to hear that, princess, but I know Adrien wouldn't want you to deal with this alone. He can be there for you when I can't, and I know you are very important to him. Yeah, she replied sadly, resting her head against his shoulder wearily. He told me I'm his best friend. His shoulder tensed under her ear before he started rubbing his clawed hand up and down her arm. He cares about you a lot and wants to help to take care of you. And I want to help him be happy, to give him the space to fly and discover his dreams, Kat. She sighed and rubbed her cheek against his collarbone. I just don't think I'm enough. His arms tightened around her. You are more than enough, Marinette. His voice was low and intense. You may be Adrien's everyday ladybug, but it isn't your responsibility to fix everything for everybody. Even Ladybug can't do that, and no one thinks less of her. You are amazing just the way you are. You are kind and generous and forgiving and beautiful and gentle and brave and brilliant. You are my princess, and I... His words cut off in a strangled sound as she looked up at him in wonder. A blush was spilling out from under his mask, and his eyes were wide and full of conflicting emotions. Marinette felt lightheaded. Kat was blushing over her. She was used to him singing her praises as Ladybug with puns and flirtatious tones and wriggling eyebrows. But here he was pouring out compliments on her civilian with the most sincere voice and comforting embrace. He meant it. Everything he had told her, how he saw her, and she had a strong desire to know what he had been about to say. Blushing furiously, she pulled away slowly, her eyes never leaving his. Kat, do you? Tentatively, he reached out and caressed her cheek, sending warm shivers through her core. He nodded. Sorry, princess. My timing is atrocious. I know. Her heart pounded wildly at his confession. But Bunix hasn't shown up. It's still safe, right? He doesn't know I'm Ladybug. I'm not in love with him too, so our love can't destroy the world. She struggled to pull her mind out of the event horizon of panic, her thoughts still crowded with this new information. But why? Because you are more than I ever dreamed of, Marinette. You are kindness and love and everything that is good and sweet in this world. You fight for everyone, but never for yourself. You take on the world with a golden heart and caring hands, and I love you for it, Marinette. He sighed. But I know you don't think about me that way, and I'm fine with that. I don't want to lose your friendship. You are too important for me to lose, and there is Buttercup, and Adrien, and this whole mess with Lila. He let his hand drop as he slumped before her, looking overwhelmed with himself. Kitty. I'm so sorry. She wrapped him in a tight hug as fresh tears ran down her cheeks. I never meant to lead you on, or... No, he said quickly, hugging her tightly. It's not your fault. You didn't lead me on or anything. I did this to myself. I knew you loved Buttercup and still kept coming by to see you and talk. I should have stayed away when I first started to realize how I felt, and I ignored it because I wanted to be with you. This is on me. I never wanted to hurt you, Kitty, she moaned into his hair. She had broken this sweet boy's heart twice. She must be a horrible person. Is this why she's having so many problems with fake dating Adrien? Could the universe be putting her through some sort of cosmic romantic karma for not accepting a partner's affections? Oh, what a mess. He chuckled dryly. Yeah, no kidding. He took a deep breath and moved back so there was a comfortable space between them. I'm sorry, Marinette. Don't be, she murmured, squeezing his hand comfortingly. I'm really flattered, and I wish I could return your affections the way they deserve, but things are so complicated right now, and He smiled softly and shook his head. I get it, Princess. I really do. No hard feelings. Let's just focus on getting things sorted out with you first. Reaching out into his pocket, he drew out a small white envelope. I really just came by to deliver this for Adrien. He held it out for her with an embarrassed flush on his cheeks. Gingerly, she took it from him, watching his hand drift to the back of his neck. Should I open it now? Yeah, he said to tell you to open it right away. Glancing from him to the envelope, she tore it open. Inside was a short letter. My sweet Marinette, would you please honor me by accepting my invitation to a special private event tonight? If so, please send word through the furry messenger and be ready by 8 o'clock. Maurice will pick you up. Dress as fancy as you like. You look gorgeous in anything. Yours in admiration, Adrien Mud Aggress. She couldn't help the giggle that escaped her lips or the blush that rose to her cheeks. Her eyes flickered to Kat's, briefly swallowing down a stab of guilt. Adrien is asking me out to some sort of event tonight, she said as gently as possible, not knowing what else to say. How would Kat react? He had just declared his love for her, knowing she loved another boy, but now to have Adrien, a rival for her affections, presumably, asking her out and having him deliver this invitation. Kat couldn't have told Adrien about how he felt about her, not with her fake dating him and all, but this was just cruel irony. Kat merely smiled at her nervously. Are you going to accept? Marinette rolled her bottom lip between her teeth, not sure how to answer. I don't know. Are you okay? Do you need me to stay with you? She placed her hand on his once more and gave it a gentle squeeze. I care about you so much, Cat Noir, and I'll stay here if you need the company. His mouth popped open in surprise before he blinked and snapped it shut once more. Nope! His voice was a bit higher than normal, and his eyes were wide in panic. No. I'm good, honest. You go out and have a good time with Adrien. You both need some downtime with everything else that has been going on lately. She looked at him suspiciously. Cat? What's wrong? You just confessed you're in love with me and now you're sending me on a date with another guy? Are you sure you're feeling well? Marinette watched his face and neck turn red and saw his hand creep up to cover the blush above his collar. Me? Pfft, I'm fit as a fiddle, see? He flexed his muscles at her and she rolled her eyes with a sigh of aspiration. She pinched his biceps. Ouch! Oh, stop it, you big baby. I know that I didn't hurt you. Besides, those aren't the muscles I'm worried about. She flicked the space to the right of his bow. I'm more concerned about this one. Kat grasped her shoulders and gave her such a look that Marinette felt her throat tighten. Princess? A friend of mine reminded me today that loving someone means giving them all the information and then letting them choose. More than anything else, I want you to be happy. If it's with me, then I'll be over the moon. But if it's with Buttercup or Adrien or anyone else, then I will always be thankful that you are still in my life and one of my dearest friends. I won't be attracting Akumas anytime soon. After all, it is the least I can do after I turned you down and you accepted it with such grace. She felt her cheeks blush with shame and she looked down, away from his piercing gaze. Yeah, after I ran away from you and Papa got akumatized. I'm sorry about that day, Kat. I should have handled things better. I shouldn't have said anything at all. He lifted a chin with a finger. You don't know how many times I've thought about that day, Marinette. To know that someone as amazing as you loved me? I mean, I'm just a silly cat boy with a boatload of puns, but you? You're so talented and kind and thoughtful and beautiful. You were the first girl to tell me that she was in love with me. It gave me hope when I had very little. His thumb skimmed her cheek and his lips twitched in a crooked grin. The only thing I would change is how much I hurt you. And I never meant to hurt you either, Kitty. Never ever. Would things completely change between them now? She had already messed up her relationship with him as Ladybug. She couldn't bear the thought of hurting him as Marinette too. She tucked her head down between her shoulders and held her arms open to him tentatively. How about a hug for the road? He blinked at her in surprise and then pulled her in for a tight embrace. Always, princess. Always. Marinette felt some of the tension she'd been carrying all day drain out of her as he accepted her friendship. She really didn't deserve his understanding or kindness anyway. Not when she had to lie to him all the times and hurt him so badly. She buried her face in his chest and let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. You have done so much for me and my family, and I do love you, Kitty. You're one of my dearest friends, too. Aside from Adrien and Alex, I guess, you are all I have left. I don't think I could stand it if anything were to happen to you, especially because of me. Never, princess, he murmured into her hair. I'm your champion, remember? Let me fight the dragons for you. After all, you and Adrien are dealing with the lying fox. She smiled up at him. Then, here. She leaned out of his arms and pulled her pigtails out, leaving 2 lengths of red ribbon behind. Taking one of them, she carefully tied it around his bow so it would hang down just long enough for him to see it. What is this? He asked, confused. You already have a lady to fight for, but the least a poor princess can do is bestow a favor on her champion. Oh, please don't let this be a mistake. It's a promise, too, that I will always be here for you, no matter what. That is, if you will accept it. His smile was so wide it filled his face and spilled out of his eyes. Taking a hand, he placed a long kiss on her knuckles. I'm honored to wear your favor, my sweet princess. I'll always be here for you too, no matter what. She sighed as he returned his smile. Well, if I'm going to be ready for Adrien by 8 o'clock, I better start getting ready. Of course, I'll let him know. Just promise me something. Anything I can. His thumb skimmed her cheekbone once more. No more tears? Enjoy this time with Adrien, and let him take some of the burden you're carrying. Her heart pounded in panic. But he doesn't. He wants to help you, Marinette. More than anything. You're precious to him. Let him in if you can. Okay? Letting out a shaky breath, she nodded. I'll try. That's all I ask. He gave her one final hug, then lifted himself through the skylight and onto the late afternoon sun. Enjoy your evening, princess. Bye, cat, she answered, but he was off, leaping across the rooftops towards the Agrest mansion. Tiki, she murmured, knowing her Kagami was nearby listening in. What just happened? Her little friend hovered next to her face and nuzzled her cheek.
It's okay, Marinette. At least he took it well that you don't feel that way about him.
I hate to let him down again. He's done so much for me.
I know things feel strange and unsettled right now, but I really believe everything will work out for the best.
If you say so, Tiki. She looked down at the invitation in her hands, and her eyes widened in panic. Tiki, I have to figure out what to wear to this event with Adrien, and I only have 2 hours. Thank you for listening to part 18. I know you're gonna go crazy in the comments. Another cliffhanger, but it will be back next week, so make sure you look out for that. Make sure you go and send Shika some love for writing it. Make sure you send me some love by smashing that like button. Comment down below. If you don't know what to say, put cats love, or bless his little cotton socks, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you are good, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.